Hi everyone, and welcome to the online edition of Lightbox. So the video you're looking at is part of a course that I have created for Schoolism, which is called Daily Painting Workout. And in this course, for the duration of 9 weeks, I will be doing exercises, and the idea is for you to paint along with me. Each week has a different topic, and the course lasts for 9 weeks. So by the end of the course, you will have painted 63 exercises. So these are available for you to try out, and should you like it, you can go over to schoolism.com and subscribe to my course and do the other exercises as well. For now, enjoy, have fun, and enjoy Lightbox.
Hi, my name is Wouter Tulp, and I'd like to welcome you to my digital painting workout course. Just like athletes, an artist needs to work out to keep up their skills, and that is what I created this 9-week daily exercises for. We'll paint from reference, and every day we'll do an exercise of about 30 minutes. A painting consists of different components such as value, color, edges, texture, design, and so on. Every week, we'll focus on one of these components of painting and do exercises. The course is called Digital Painting because I paint all the examples in Photoshop. At the same time, I try to focus mostly on principles rather than specific Photoshop techniques. So if you want to do the exercises using traditional media, that's just fine. The course lets you both acquire new knowledge and repeat the painting process so it becomes second nature. At the beginning of the course, I focus on many subjects, from landscape to still life to portraits, and as we progress, we'll focus more and more on portraits. With the limited time of about 30 minutes, it's a manageable subject and offers endless possibilities in our painting approach. The course lasts a total of 9 weeks, and we'll do exercises every day, which means that by the end of this course, you will have painted 63 paintings. The brushes I use are standard Photoshop brushes, and they're also available to download. You can also use brushes that are more or less similar. You can paint along with me and use the same reference, but if you want, you can also do the exercises using your own reference. I hope this introduction got you just as excited as I am. So let's do some painting workout.
Hi, and welcome to another painting workout session. So we're still focusing on shapes. This is a reference that has a lot of a great silhouette, and with that we can look clearly at the shapes. And another thing that I notice about this is that if we look at the black, we see shadow going over different elements, so we don't see a separation of the hat and the head and the beard and the neck and the jacket. It all becomes one clear shape. And then another thing that I notice is that the beard has a really soft edge where the hat is much harder edged. So those are all things that we can look at in terms of shapes and try to exaggerate that. So this horizontal, I think I want to play with that a little and give that a little direction. And when I do so, immediately that affects the rest of the design. And from there I'll just see where it'll lead me. So I don't have a particular plan when it comes to the shapes. I'll just see where the lines take me. And it's just really rough. I'll just put marks down and see if that works, and I'll adjust if I see that it doesn't. Just playing around. So making some divisions of, where I can clearly see shadow area. Where that mustache is just as dark as the shadow. And then I can see that this angle right there where the beard, I push the beard forward, and I like to have that lower lip stretched in that direction as well. So what I meant with everything follows from the fact that I'm changing the angle. When I change this angle, I could still have the hat upright, but you know, it forces me to look at the shapes and see how they change because of that. This is a perpendicular line. I mean, it's a parallel line, I'm sorry, and I can change the angle slightly by doing this and make it more playful with that. When I change this shape, I have less room for the ear, so that's why I stretch the ear to make it fit in that area. And here we have a little bit of gray hair of the beard color. Something like that. So let's just start by filling in the blacks. And when I see that some shapes are connected, like, you know, the black right here, I can see that continue all the way there, or this eyebrow. You know, when I can blend these areas of shadow, I will just do that and make one clear area that all has the same value. So sometimes, you know, you have an image and you can start from the midtones. In this case, I have established a drawing that has, like the eye, for example, is pretty well defined, so I can fill in that area already in this stage. And you know, it kind of depends. Sometimes I just let the painting decide for me, you know, just whatever feels right will define what my approach will be. Or sometimes I have a clear vision at the beginning. This is how I want to do this, but overall I like to explore and try out different things. So and it often depends on the reference. I let the reference tell me what is a good approach and just enjoy the painting process. Also, don't be afraid to make marks. It's better to make mistakes and adjust them than to be afraid of putting marks on the canvas. By the way, that's not true for everyone. Sometimes if you are too if you don't pay enough attention to the marks that you make and you put them without thinking, then it's probably better to take some more time and think before you put a mark down on the canvas. But I think in general, most people tend to be too cautious. And so if you find that's the case,
Don't worry about making marks, and just, there is no right and wrong. There's weaker and stronger. So if you make a mark and it doesn't work, in your opinion, just try to figure out how you can make it stronger. And then also I see that there is this gradient in the background, so I'll add that as well already in this stage. Why I think that's important is that, especially in the shadow areas, it kind of blends those values a little bit, so we don't have so much attention to that area. So that's why I think that's an important thing to include in an early stage already. So let's fill in some color for the skin. First I'll just fill in black, flat color. So at least we have some color and some value in there. And I'll focus on edges and subtleties within that afterwards. But I just want to create that clear visual statement. And you can see how that works. It immediately already starts to fall into place. So we don't have such a strong edge between foreground and background when it comes to that lip, so I'm erasing that line right there. And then for the teeth, it's pretty bright. And then we have more highlights, but first I'll go into the darks a bit more. So here again, think of form shadows versus cast shadows. Here we have all form shadows. Can go a little darker even. So we have a nice value in between that black and the brighter skin tones. What I've noticed is very often if you simplify things, you communicate stronger. So what I mean with that is if I can you know, show this image in just a few values, um, then my communication for the entire image in the end will be much stronger because I have simplified it, and um, we are so likely to get lost in details when we paint. And so that's why I keep focusing all the time on simplifying. Now, if you are painting in color directly, it becomes a little harder because at the same time that, while you are focusing on values, you're also focusing on color and, adding a little more red here and there. And, the more you start looking, the more details you'll see. So sometimes it's good, if you find yourself getting lost in all those values. Just like I started doing this one block, you could do the same thing uh, with lighter values and save for example, the more red skin tones and the more yellow skin tones. Save that for a later stage where it's much clearer for you to keep those same values, um, but then replace them for brush strokes that are just color. So let's say this, I would want this, I have this all area filled with red and I would want it to be more yellow. I will just find a value that's same value but more yellow in there. That's basically what I mean there. Try to look for areas where you see lost edges. Even though this is now not the focus of our painting, it's still a thing to keep looking for, and it remains a thing that uh, not just lost edges, but any type of edges. What kind of edges do you want to use? And actually, you can choose within a painting how you want to use it. For example, if I want to emphasize the fact that this beard has soft edges, I might just have hard edges throughout the rest of the painting so that the beard stands out. I'm not saying this is now my choice, but just as an example of how you can manipulate the way the viewer will perceive your painting. It's not set in stone. It's not a thing that is fixed when you paint from reference. In fact, it's the other way around. When you paint from reference, it's up to you to decide what you bring out of this reference and tell to your audience. So pushing a rounded shape more towards an angular shape, um, looking for asymmetry so I can make this part of the hat longer than this part. I could even push this up a little more so we have that angle in there. and make this much shorter. So there's much more variety in the way I look at these shapes compared to the original reference. So here, those edges are much softer, and we actually have some light on the lip right here. Highlight on the lip. Here too, there's much more color in there. So making really subtle transitions from in value. Some really subtle value changes that really make this feel like it has volume. Maybe this is too saturated. And then here we have that cheek sticking out, which is much brighter actually. Just like the highlight on the eye. All of that is brighter, but I always start out being cautious with my values. I find it much easier to push the values later on. And also I have noticed that a painting will often work still if you put the values too close together, while often it doesn't if you do it the other way around. If the values are too far apart, then the painting starts to fall apart also. So that's why I always stay cautious. But eventually what you want is just the correct value, strong value control. I think that's really the start of being able to create great paintings, to control your values. And for me, there's comfort in there because I believe that so much, and to me, it's such a clear thing. A lot of people who don't paint look at painters, as if they can do magic, and I think, especially when it comes to value control or drawing perspective and things like that, you can all learn that. There's no magic in that, and I think there's comfort in knowing that, because when you run into stuff that you feel is really difficult and you don't know if you can do it, very often there's just a technique underneath there that you just need to learn, but you just don't grasp the concept yet, or you don't have enough pencil mileage yet in order to put it on the canvas the way that you want it to. So I think that's comforting. So you want to combine actual line here with soft brush strokes Very often we think we see individual hairs, but in fact we just see an area that has a certain value, a soft transition, because we don't see all the details but we interpret them so fast that we think we see all those individual hairs, but that's often not the case. But you want to put some in there as an accent. That's where light hits that one particular hair, so that one stands out. A lot of the rest is just a blurry mess, and you just think you see all that. But you want to put some hairs in there, and it also depends on the style that you choose. If you want to put it really cartoony, you could put the hairs stick out like that. That's all a matter of balance and how far you want to push that idea. You can also play with negative shape, so carve out some holes in there that give an illusion that light comes through, and draw on top of that again, things like that. There are many ways where you can play with the way you want to depict that hairstyle. A few minutes left. Looking at it, I want to exaggerate that softness. So let me see if I can do it like this, or I can exaggerate the soft beard like this. Maybe have some soft edges in the shadow area as well. And then also maybe I'll soften the edges slightly on this side, so that it's clear that this is not an area where I want you to look for details. That's just an area that's there. There's enough information there for you to make out what it is, but at the same time, I'm softening it so that it doesn't get too much attention. Same is true for the coloring right here. I can just fill that in. Maybe just enough to show that it has that camouflage feel to it. You need to say that I have no idea who this person is. Now I'm hoping I'm not painting someone that, where it's politically incorrect. I don't know what this man stands for. He looks like a musician to me, but actually I have no idea. Maybe I should have looked that up before we started painting. So this really now starts to have the effect of a blurry photo, and it's easy to go overboard here. So, and I feel like I am doing that now actually. It's a little too much. Let's see if we can add a few details there that we have on the hat. Oh, first of all, I have that strap. I think it's too bright. That's better. So add, a little variation in the gradient there, so it looks like it has some structure. And then add those details. Oh. Highlights. Sharpening the edges. And softening them again. And we have the orange feather also. And I don't need to put too much detail into that. I just want to show that there's something there. Oh. Well, that concludes our session for today. Tomorrow we will create a composition based on the shape elements that stand out of the reference. I'm looking forward to that, and I'll see you tomorrow.